Awesome. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. Jerry, I'm seeing you get logged in there. It's nice to see you. Brandy, welcome. Jeannie, welcome. As people are logging in and getting kind of settled in, maybe we'll start a little introduction just so we can see who's in the room and who's representing who. Gretchen, is that a good time for this check-in?
You bet. Go right ahead.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Jen. I'm in Portland, Oregon. My local association is NOVA, the Northwest Oregon Volunteer Administrators Association. I was part of the board there for a number of years, and I termed out, yay term limits. And now I work with some other folks who are on this call about supporting local associations across the country. So it's been a very fun transition for me. So I'll pass it over to Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn, do you want to tell us about you?
Sure. I'm Mary Lynn Perry. I'm in Sacramento, California. So we're enjoying our beautiful spring weather here. But I have Maui on my mind, so that's what's behind me.
Oh, very nice.
And I'm the education chair for our local Dovia, so Dovia Sacramento. And then I'm also on the local associations committee here for Alive. So that's me.
Yay, thank you. How are you, Jerry?
Hello, can you see me?
We can.
Okay, I can't see me. Okay.
Oh, no, you're looking good. We can see you.
Okay, good. So hi, I'm Jerry Pinozzo from New York City. I'm with the NIAVA board and I too serve on the local association committee.
Yay. Representing New York City. Thank you. How about you, Mark?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Smith. I'm in Denver, Colorado, Dovia, Colorado. Right. Jen has some roots here in Colorado as well. I also serve on the executive committee for Alive. I am the current secretary. I am in my 4th year serving on the board, and I've been with the local associations since that time. So excited for our presentation today. Thanks, yeah. Jen.
Me too. Thank you. Joanna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're great.
I work for the Salvation Army in Central Virginia, and I go to GRAVA, Greater Richmond Association Volunteer Administrators. So,
fantastic. We've got all regions, I think, represented at this point. So that's exciting. Marcy, would you like to say hi?
Hi, I'm Marcy Priestley. I too am with the Salvation Army. I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Oh, great. Welcome. And is I want to pronounce it correctly. Maybe you can help me. Is it Marcia or Marcella?
Hi. My given name is, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
My name is Marcella. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a nice coincidence. Okay.
I think that's so funny though. I think that this was a reference to me. My name is Marcel. I get Marcella a lot. That's fine. I have no problem with it. I am from an organization called Earth Justice. I manage a group of volunteer advisory board members. And I am in the New York office of our organization, but I'm currently working from home in New Jersey.
Oh, fantastic. You're based in New York City though? Mm-hmm. Oh, great, Jerry. There you go. You guys can, I don't know, eat bagels or something. What do you do in New York? Eat pizza.
That's hilarious.
Well, welcome. Nice to meet you. How about Brandy?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brandy Tobert, and I'm actually in Columbus, Georgia. I'm serving on the board for GAVA, and our local association, we're working on it. We haven't met in a while because of COVID and a little disconnection, but I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, that's not at all unusual right now. We're hearing that from a lot of local associations, and we're seeing it in a lot of local associations have been, not sure what to do and how to move forward in this space. And Gretchen, did you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you are right now? You move around.
Indeed, I am on the road today. I'm on my way to Americus, Georgia right now. I'm based out of Central Florida, but we're on the road and I'll be headed to Indiana. and I am the Alive Association manager, but I had been involved in membership in local associations for about 20 years. So I'm also really pleased to work with a great committee and provide this great content. So
Awesome. And Gretchen was leadership in my local association before my time. So that's exciting. And you're going to Americas. Are you doing habitat stuff?
no, it just we'll be staying not far from there. I don't have time to connect with our board member, Allison Drennan, who works for Habitat for Humanity. But I do have lunch lined up with the CIAVA, which is a Central Indiana local association. June 4th, we're gonna have lunch.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Well, have safe travels. Happy travels.
Thank
And
you.
Bertha, welcome. Would you like to just introduce yourself? Tell us where you are and maybe about your local association?
Sure. It's Berta, preferred name Birdie. It's
Oh,
fine.
great, Birdie.
I'm in New York, and I'm part of the New York, NIAVA board with Jerry and Shayna Sherman.
Great. Yes, I know Shayna. She's great. And of course, we know Jerry. He's great.
Yeah.
And New York is very well represented today. And Marcella's from there as well. So there's a lot of y'all from there. So that's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll go to Jessica. So Jessica is actually going to take point for this meeting today. And to give you a little bit of background about, oh, I'm sorry, Gretchen, do you want to, before I move on to Jessica, do you want to roll through those slides? I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, and general information about Alive, if you're curious about, becoming an Alive member, if you're not already an Alive member, or if your local association would like to become a member of Alive, there's opportunities for that as well. But it's a really great opportunity to connect with people from all across the country and get really new and novel ideas about what people are doing in other communities, which is exactly how Jessica got on our radar. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. So there's different types of ways you can become a member of Alive. You can do so as an individual member, or you can, join as an organization, and there's benefits to doing that as well. So we can answer more questions about that if you have them. Gretchen is a great resource. Mary Lynn's actually Dovia just joined as an organization, so that's another great resource for you as well. But it's the goal is to provide opportunities to support each other across the country with local associations, because we all face different challenges, but a lot of times our challenges overlap. So it's really nice to have a network of people who you can work with from outside your NOVA, or your Dovia or your local association, especially if you're running into things that you're not sure how to navigate forward. And as Birdie mentioned, a lot of us are facing some significant challenges related to COVID, and how does that play out in your organization? So reach out. There's a lot of us out here who are doing similar work, so we're here to support. And Trudy, I just saw you join us. Welcome. Would you like to tell us real quickly where you're calling in from?
I'm calling in from Hartford, Connecticut, and we are right on the throes of everything changing.
Okay, yeah, you're not alone. Welcome. Well, we're glad you could be here. I'm excited for today's program. As Jerry and Mary Lynn and Mark know, I've been really excited about this one. So anyway, there's some more information about what the local association committee does, and there's a few of us on this call from that group. Next slide, Gretchen. Or is that my last? Oh, and then here's the who's who, and you've met a few of us. So Jerry represents us from New York. Mark represents us from Denver. Jennifer's in Oklahoma. She's not on the call today, but she's in Oklahoma. Gretchen is a little bit here and there. She travels quite a bit, but she's based in Florida. I'm Jen. I'm based in Portland. And then who did I miss? Mary Lynn. I'm sorry, Mary Lynn's in Sacramento. So we kind of span the country. So there's probably one of us in your region on this committee. And even if we're not in your region, please reach out. We're here to try to be a resource to help to support local organizations. So if you need to brainstorm or troubleshoot or just want to connect, get our names and we'd love to connect with you. Do I have any more slides? Or is this for the end? Okay, great, welcome. Then I'm gonna pivot over to Jessica. So backing up, to November of last year. Some of you may have been involved, but we had a local association summit. And the purpose of that summit was to kind of hear from local organizations about the challenges they were facing, about what kind of support they might need, about ideas they had, what's working, what's not working. Really, the goal of that was to hear from local associations so that we could build out our programming for the year going forward based on what the needs of the local organizations were, the local associations were. And in that, that session, Jessica ended up in breakout sessions with a number of us. And she mentioned, I think kind of as an aside at one point early on, that her local association had done a virtual volunteer fair. And everybody jumped on it and wanted to know more information. I went into 3 different breakouts and it came out in every single one of my breakouts. It was one of the top priorities when people give us feedback after the meeting, you know, what were some topics you want covered? It just came up again and again and again. People wanted to talk to Jessica. And, you know, some time has passed and things in COVID have changed. And particularly in the last week, things have changed quite dramatically with COVID. I know it's very different depending on where you are in the country. You know, in Portland, Oregon, it's pretty locked down. I know in other parts of the country, it's a lot more open. So there's a variety of stages that we are in. But I think we all would agree that the experience of COVID has kind of changed our work permanently in a lot of respects. And there's going to be things going forward that we're going to do online that we didn't do before. I think a lot of us are excited to get back into person and might have some Zoom fatigue and might be a little bit over the whole meeting online thing. But the truth is that the opportunities presented by having remote options are too good to give up in a lot of cases. I mean, just from an equity and inclusiveness perspective, you open up your programs so much more if people do not have to be in person, if people do not have to worry about childcare and transportation and juggling more than one job and the limits on their available time. You really can pivot your program in some pretty dramatic ways that really open up and do not exclude people that might have been excluded before. Geography is another obvious barrier that you don't have to worry about. We are all gathering from all across the country, and there's no reason we can't continue to do that going forward. And so when we're looking at, you know, what to do going forward for our local associations, at least in my association and in my local organization that I work for outside of my association, we intend to continue going forward having a hybrid of online and in-person opportunities, but we definitely don't want to lose all the benefits of the online opportunities, particularly the barriers that you can avoid when you open it up to online participation. So I feel like if you might be considering doing an in-person volunteer fair at some point, there's so many benefits to the idea of having an online volunteer fair that I think it's really worth really digging into that. And a lot of associations were really excited about that. So I'm really excited to hear what Jessica has to share about their experience. And we're really excited to try to make this happen in the Portland area and to capture folks from all across the state and all across the region, because we can now. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica if you want to introduce yourself and just like dive in.
Great. Thank you so much, Jen. And could you tell me, so is it 40 minutes from now? So 12:43.
You know, we wanted to leave room at the end for questions, but you know, if we had maybe 15 minutes at the end for questions, I think we'd be fine. So I wouldn't be too worried about time. If we get close, I'll maybe, you know, do this or something, but I think you're fine.
Sounds great. Well, yeah, I said 12:43. I'm in Tucson, Arizona right now. So it is 12:45 over here. And I know some of you are in Pacific time, so I don't know how any of that works. Anyway, thank you so much for having me. I'm just really excited. I'm glad to hear where you all are from, and I'm really excited to share our experience with you all. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to bring up the presentation. And so as Jen mentioned, I'm Jessica Dennis, and I've been involved with SAVMA, the Southern Arizona Volunteer Management Association, for probably about 5 or 6 years already. I've been on the board for, this is my 4th year, so I'll be terming out this year as well. And that's exciting, but also like, oh man, 4 years of my life, what do I do now? So a quick about me, I'm originally from Brownsville, Texas, which is as far south in Texas as you can go. And I've been in Tucson for about 8 years. I'm currently the communications committee chair for SAVMA, so I do a lot of the graphic design and press releases and things like that. And fun thing to know about me is that I'm a spatial thinker. So why that matters is because I'm talking to you about planning an event. And for me, spatial thinking, this is why I love planning events and organizing them, because I am able to visualize where things fit and how you can, if you move something around, how it'll go. So that's a quick about me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. It tells you the jobs that I do and things like that, but that's what I wanted to share. So why have a virtual volunteer fair? So Jen actually covered it, right? That this is kind of the new normal, that we have to consider a hybrid now of a mix of in-person, but then also we want to be able to have virtual opportunities so that we can reach people who would not otherwise be able to either attend at the time that we are meeting, but also geographically who can't physically drive to our location. There's just a lot of factors that make virtual events so much more appealing, not to mention the cost savings that you have as an association, just planning these virtual events. So I should also mention that we also threw a virtual volunteer appreciation week, and that also went really well. So once quarantine happened, SAVMA just really switched, and the board had to ask, what do we do and how do we support our members? A lot of our members said we still have some volunteer opportunities, but we don't really have a way to take that out and promote it. So SAVMA started thinking last year, how can we still do an event that allows people to recruit, but that also keeps people safe. And this was August of last year that we started planning. So we were still in the thick of it. And a lot of uncertainty was still there. So we couldn't even plan for, maybe in a few months from now, we'll do a virtual volunteer fair, because everything was up in the air. So I do want to say, this is the quick disclaimer that don't let the format fool you just because it's called virtual. As you all know, if you've been planning virtual events, they still take a lot of work and coordination. There's still a lot to think about, and even more so because you are not interacting with people in person. You don't have the body language, and you don't have the opportunity to have like those side conversations to gauge engagement. So there's a lot to think about still, and that's as I said, as we held our virtual opportunities last year, that's a lot of what we were learning, that this might even take more work on our part. But I will show you how we did it. So how it came together, as I mentioned, we wanted to continue to promote volunteerism, but also the real drive was that our membership was saying we need to recruit volunteers. We need some kind of platform. So I also knew, because we had run an event, 8 months prior, that our board was pretty spread thin. So once the move to all virtual went in, a lot of us really kicked it into high gear, and we had a lot going on. I personally started a separate project for the whole community on the side. So there was just a lot of work going on, and we knew that SAVMA alone could not do this well. It could not do this without there being a lot more work that just needed to get done. So we knew we had to put together a team that had similar goals. And so this is the team that came together. We found 2 other organizations. So the United Way of Tucson and Southern Arizona, and Green Valley Saurita Volunteer Clearinghouse. So United Way is located here in Tucson. So that wasn't, an issue, but Green Valley, Saudita, that's about an hour south of Tucson. But luckily, since we were all virtual, we didn't have to drive to meetings or anything like that. And we had all interacted before. These are 3 organizations that all want to promote volunteerism and all want to support the community in this way. So once we all came together and said, hey, we all kind of have similar goals, it really came down to narrowing down the goals. So this is, I'll mention this in lessons learned, but also just these were not the only organizations that wanted to do a volunteer fair. There were several others that were talking about it, but these were the ones, these 3 groups that said we can compromise and we can let go of some of our ideas of what we want to really make this happen. So I'm grateful to these women because they all, all of us together made it happen. And just to give you an idea of some of the workload, all of us brought our strengths and what we're good at to make sure that everything got done. And I'm not going to go into details, but this just shows you how each individual really brought what they're good at and their strengths and their connections to make sure that this was a really successful event. So, and again, without going into detail, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of, when I say logistics, there's probably 10 to 20 bullet points of things to get done under logistics, and then sub bullet points after that. So this is just a snapshot of some of the tasks and responsibilities. So going back to our initial meeting, when we all decided, okay, we think we're going to do this and we think we can get it done. When we said, Meredith said, I can handle tech support, there's all this stuff underneath that meant she was going to provide. So it really helped to know which organization was going to cover which areas. And that goes into our planning timeline. The week 1 is where we first all came together and said, well, how is this going to work? What is going to happen? And then from there, this is where we move in. So what I'm going to do is zoom into each week a bit and tell you what each week looked like. So week 1, it was really establishing the team. So as I mentioned, there were several other groups that wanted to do this, but then we all came together. These 3 groups came together and said, again, we can align with similar goals and we can let go of some of the things that we wanted to do to make this event happen. I want to emphasize the very first thing that we did, which was the purpose. We had to establish a purpose for this event. And the big question is this necessary and desired? So we didn't say we're going to throw virtual volunteer fair because it would be fun, right? Or because it would be really cool and, we're in COVID and this should happen. No, it was very much like, well, we're going to put a lot of time and energy into this. Is it worth it? And so once we decided, this is something we're going to pursue, we put together an interest survey, and about 100 organizations were sent this email with the survey. And it just said, here's what we're thinking of doing. Would you participate? So there was no commitment on their part. It just said, yes, I'd be interested. And so what we found out of those 100 is that the majority of organizations did not have virtual opportunities. And when we went back to what is our aim and what is our purpose and who's our target audience, we decided that one of the stipulations would be that there had to be at least one virtual opportunity, because the nature of this virtual volunteer fair suggests that there are people who cannot leave their home. And so we did not want to alienate anybody. And we wanted to make that, the one thing that you absolutely needed is you needed at least one virtual opportunity. So once we sent that out, and we got about 12 to 15 yeses out of over 100, which was actually really great because we were like, if 100 people say yes, I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know. We're going to have multiple days, over a week. But the fact that only 12 to 15 said yes, they would do it was really great. And that really helped us plan out what it would look like. And so we, in the first week, sorry, I'm going to go back. In the first week, we also thought about the format. So this is, again, now that we know our target audience, now that we know that there are some organizations that will do this, that really narrows down what is possible. So for example, if 100 organizations had said yes, then like I said, this would have to be a multi-day event and it would be pretty complicated logistically, but we only had 12. So that meant we could have it over one day or still multiple days. But these were the questions we were asking: what time of day, how long should it be? And then the big question is, what is the incentive to participate? You know, in the virtual world where everything is becoming free and you can easily turn on YouTube and go to a museum, you can tune in separately, you know, at the most convenient time of day. So what would be the incentive for people to participate? So those are the things we kept asking ourselves. And then of course, roles and responsibilities. I said each one of these was extremely important. So week one was just like laying the foundation. And the question was, what is each group contributing? In other words, why do we need each other? Because SAVMA can do it, but it would mean a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort and probably a lot of stress. So why participate with each group? What is everyone going to bring to the table? And then what is each individual going to bring to the table? So making sure that we all were held accountable to what we said we were going to do. It was also important at the beginning to establish deadlines and expectations. So to say, this is what we expect from this organization, and by this time, that way we can move forward. Because when you're working on a team virtually with different groups and different organizations, it's really easy to not quite know who's in charge, or for one group to take on more than the others. So I really want to emphasize that if you're planning any event, really, that week one, the research and development side is probably the most important week of knowing your purpose, considering your formats, and really laying out your roles and responsibilities. And that led us to week two, drafting and planning. So we're all virtual and all of our organizations use different platforms. So SAVMA uses Dropbox, United Way uses Microsoft Teams, etc. So we just decided Google Drive, right? Google Drive is free, it's available to everyone. We all could access it very easily. And that's when we started drafting everything. So without zooming into all of these, this is just an example. This is what the folder looked like. So all of everything that needed to be created was placed in here so that we can continuously edit and monitor what everyone's doing, but then also provide feedback. And here, so I'm the logistics person. And so I immediately went to work on, here's a sample schedule and brief logistics. Here's everything we need to think about and what it might look like. And so once I had that up, the team was able to go in and put in comments about like, well, how is this going to work? And this just doesn't quite make sense here. And what if we tried this instead? And so a shared drive was really, really great. And if you're going to put on a virtual fair, that is essential when you're working digitally with people in different regions. So in the second week, this is when we finalized everything. We knew our target audience and we said this is going to be a 2-hour event during the lunch hour. I'll tell you why in a second. We decided for engagement, there's going to be a live person that's going to introduce pre-recorded videos. So again, this is where the drafting and planning, how is it going to work, came in. We decided pre-recorded videos because when you're live, as you all know, things can, they're muted or their video doesn't quite work, or also at the time, Zoom did not allow you to choose your own breakout room like you can now. So at the time you were forced into the carefully selected breakout rooms, and we didn't want to do that. So a live MC would come in and introduce pre-recorded videos and engage the audience with trivia and give out prizes. And again, the incentive for why you want to attend at that time, because you could win money, you can win prizes and really cool stuff. We also decided that the organization should submit videos themselves. We're not going to make them for them. And they should be no more than 5 minutes. And out of the 12 that participated, most of them were about 3 to 5 minutes long. So they also gave very general volunteer opportunities. So it was really about who are we, what kind of volunteer work do we do, and this is the type of person that we're looking for. And so the reason we wanted it to be general is because, again, it's a very short video. You want to keep them engaged. You don't want to get into the details about, well, go to this website, sign up, click here, you'll need a background check, things like that, because you can say that on your website. You can say that in other places. So we really wanted the videos to just be a general, like really exciting way to introduce the organization and draw people in. We also said organizations would have a representative available to chat. So rather than have a separate breakout room, rather than have organizations go live, we wanted at least one person from the organization there available for questions and clarification. So they were available during chat. I mentioned the giveaways and prizes, and I mentioned the interest survey. So I will say, we talked about budget. This cost us about $250 to put on the virtual volunteer fair, and the $250 went to the prizes and incentives. But again, because each organization brought their resources, where United Way had the marketing team and tech support, Sabma had myself and Gina, who were doing the logistics and a lot of the planning and et cetera. We didn't have to pay venue or food or insurance or anything like that. So it didn't cost us very much at all. So this is eventually what it came out to. And you can see here, this is just the schedule. It's, you know, a sliding photo. People are entering and there's just like a sliding PowerPoint. The MC comes on, and just so you know, I was the MC. The team decided that rather than find someone else, that they just voted for me. So I did that. So I did the welcome and introductions, and then 3 videos played, came back. I did trivia and again, more engagement and like asking questions, 3 videos. And we did that the whole time, just like, why 3 videos? Because you don't want people sitting there for, you know, more than 10 minutes watching just videos, and because they're not going to be interested in every organization. So you wanted to them, give them a reason to keep coming back. So it's like, even if I'm not interested in these next 3, there's prizes after that. So I'm going to wait, and I'm going to keep waiting for the next ones. In the back end, while it was going on, there were 2 tech people. There was tech support that was troubleshooting, responding to questions in the chat, preparing the screen sharing, preparing the videos, preparing the wheel that would do the raffle. And then again, organization representatives were there to chat. We also recorded the event so that whoever couldn't attend at the time, they could watch it whenever they needed to. And that was a big draw for organizations, that like, even if we don't have a large number of people attending, this is still going to be promoted and they'll have the opportunity to learn about you. So quick note on tech needs. There were, when you're doing a virtual volunteer fair, we learned there's a lot. So just teamwork wise, like I said, a shared drive and established communication platform. So we all decided we can talk via Slack and email. For marketing, you know, we used United Way's page, their web page, and created a separate landing page. You don't need to create a completely different website for a virtual event. It just needs to live somewhere that people can easily access. so that when we're promoting it on social media, there's a website for people to go to. So we had digital interest forms and digital registration forms. We used Facebook primarily to promote the event, and then one standard email address. So because there were 3 organizations and 5 different people, we all decided on this is the one public email that's going to be out there. We didn't want everyone emailing and being confused about who to talk to. Organizations, this was the big one, and this will be in lessons learned, but they really needed some kind of video editing software and a microphone. And a lot of groups don't have that, surprisingly. So there are free things out there that we showed them. You know, this is a free one that you can use on your phone or on your computer. Another one is HD photos. So if the organization had a photographer come in to take these beautiful photos, then that's great. But again, some organizations don't have that. So it's really just photos that you can show people of what volunteering looks like. We needed to give them support for video editing and access to a volunteer opportunities platform. So like I said, we didn't want the videos to get super into detail about how to volunteer and exactly what's required for each position. So we relied on a volunteer opportunities platform. In our case, that was Golden. So Golden is goldenvolunteer.com, and you can list all of your volunteer opportunities on there. It tells you the requirements. It tells you exactly what you need to do to take that position. And then that's stored in United Way's volunteer match website. So once you create it, they send it to your local organization that can then promote it. So again, it was pretty multifaceted in that we wanted people to learn about the organization at the event, and then we sent them to Golden to actually register. And why we did that separately, because trying to get people to register on Zoom during a live event would have just been a little bit more complicated and not very fun to watch, honestly. And then day of event, just tech support. We needed 2 people to take care of those items. Week 3 was all about communication. So we had already drafted everything that we needed. And these are all of the deliverables, all the communications that we needed to create. And so week 3 was really getting them out there and getting the ball rolling, because we, like you saw, we only had 6 weeks. We decided we were going to do this in the fall, right before United Way's Days of Caring event. And so we decided, well, that's our window, and everyone else has so much going on too with their organization. So that is what we decided. And so this is a sample of a schedule that we followed. That, first you build it, then you distribute, and then you continue to promote. Distribute was, again, this is just for organizations. So I have here the PDF. It was one of the draft PDFs that we sent to the organizations. And you'll see here, there's a lot of text, but it's very clear and very specific on what are we doing, what do you need to do, and how do you participate. So that was absolutely essential, that we get the word out and that there's no confusion whatsoever about what am I supposed to do here and how can I get my organization involved. And then stage 3 was just really trying to recruit and get as many people to attend as possible. And we also communicated with corporate sponsors. So like I mentioned, Golden. So we actually met with them individually to make sure that this would work. So they had a representative, and we all had a Zoom meeting, and they told us, how to use their platform and how it would work for people. And this right here, the local employer. So this will also be in lessons learned, but the local employer is a group here in Tucson that we met with, that they hired. They have over 200 employees that they pay for them to volunteer. However, there was no volunteer opportunities because they required that these people do virtual opportunities. So they will pay for your volunteer if it's virtual. So we met with them and we said, that's our target audience there. And we kind of came up with the agreement that, like, we will make this event given that your people attend, and we're going to cater to your people, your employees. So spoiler alert is that they did not show. Those people did not show. So I'm kind of skipping ahead to lessons learned, but this was a big misstep on our part of not getting anything down in writing and not having the full commitment from them. What ended up happening was about a week after our event, we all get an email of our respective organizations saying, hey, this individual employer is throwing their own virtual volunteer fair, basically using our model and our ideas that we had all talked about. So this is the lesson learned. The big one is make sure that if you're going to use a group as your target audience, that it is clear that they will attend and that they are fully on board. We still had a good showing, but that was a big shocker to us. And it shouldn't have been, honestly, it shouldn't have been. We also were able to build sponsorships from our local public utilities board. So they provided $250, and you'll see there those small words. This is what we offered them, but this is how we paid. We provided 20 different gift items, so gift cards to Starbucks, because those you can email out. You don't have to be in person to give that away. So we gave out Starbucks gift cards, and we bought one main gift card to a local restaurant for the region. And then this sponsor, they provided their logo. They gave us a 1-minute video. You know, we really wanted them to be part of the event, and they were. This is a volunteer opportunities platform. I'll kind of skip this, but just so you know what it looks like. And it really, again, it just, if you're going to do a virtual event, you don't want to get too into the weeds with anything. And so having this off to the side really gave people a place to go. Like go over here if this is what you want to do. And as I showed you the PDF, just organizations were sent really clear guidelines, due dates, instructions on what to include. So they were sent the initial PDF of, if you want to participate, this is what you have to do. And then 2 weeks later, before the event, we're sent the events coming up. Here's what you can expect. Here's what you need to do, and any questions that you might have. We also had the public register, so we knew how many people were going to attend. And we sent them reminder emails, and we really played up the whole sponsor logos and prize, like you'll be getting Starbucks gift cards if you attend. So yeah, all that to say, just really clear communication had to go out to everyone involved throughout the process. And week 4 and 5 was outreach and recruitment. We went on Facebook, created an event. We went on all of our individual newsletters. We sent out press releases. There was a news article, what do you call it? A news report on television about the event too. So we were really just trying to push for the public to come to this event so that they can get ideas about a virtual fair, about how to volunteer virtually. And then week 6 was preparation. So a lot of this stuff had already been done beforehand. We communicated. And so week 6 was creating the video playback schedule. So people emailed in organizations emailed in their videos, and then we downloaded them to one main video. And the reason you wanted to do that, as you know, is if you try to play individual videos either on YouTube or whatever platform they're located in, you can't avoid ads, you can't avoid buffering, anything like that. So having one main video where all the individuals' videos lived, that was really helpful, and that helped us avoid a lot of issues. We created the PowerPoint and secured all the prizes. So these pumpkins here, remember this was in October. So Gina Hansen makes these beautiful gifts, and that was her contribution. She was giving a giveaway. We did a run through, and then just again, final outreach, recruitment, really pushing for the public to attend. So the big thing I wanted to talk to you all about is audience engagement, and I'll just spend a minute. But again, like I said, we did trivia, raffles, giveaways, and really just trying to keep people engaged and keep them there for 2 hours because we wanted everyone to see all the videos and we wanted them there to the end. So we're gonna try, I'm sorry, I'm seeing that there are some questions. I haven't been able to see the chat. So I will hopefully get to every single one of these questions at the end.
We'll
But
go
we're-
through questions at the end.
Okay, great. So I'm going to actually show you all an example of what we did for audience engagement. So keeping it very general, name that national monument. So this was a question, this was a trivia segment, right? After 3 videos played, people came back and this was the trivia game. 3 questions, and it was something very general where anyone could participate. And we wanted to focus on our region again. So this was Arizona. And so I'm actually going to ask you all, you probably already saw the answer, but just bear with me. The way we did it, because everyone was muted and we didn't want a bunch of people chiming in at once, was the first person to correctly type the answer in the chat wins. And I've done trivia nights with my job. I've done virtual trivia nights at least 3 times at that point. So I knew that worked and I knew it went really well. So I'm going to ask you all to play. So the first person who can put in the chat the name of this national monument wins. So let's see how well you all know your national monuments. No, nobody? No, not Badlands. Think Forrest Gump. See, this is where. Oh, we also let people Google. Oh, you've been there, Gretchen? I've never been, and I really want to go. We also let people Google because this was virtual. We couldn't police that or anything like that. So we were like, if you need to Google it, you Google it. But I'm going to go ahead and give you all the answer. It is Monument Valley National Park. So if you've ever seen Forrest Gump, this is where Forrest decides to stop running. And it's like this beautiful scene. All right, so the other thing we did, this was one segment, name that national park or national monument. The next one we did was finish the lyric. And again, we use pop songs that everyone's gonna know, and we don't want to make it super complicated for people. So I'm gonna ask you all to play. First person to type it in the chat wins. Yes, so Jen Forrestal wins. Ghostbusters is correct. Right, so that's the other fun part, is that you want it to be something everyone knows, so it's a speed thing. If it's something that only one person knows, you have, like the Monument Valley, you have everyone like just crickets, right? So you want it to be super easy and you want people to really be racing to get that. So yeah, that was our example. It's just name that national park or monument and finish the lyric. And then I did one by Bonnie Tyler, the Once Upon a Time I Was Falling in Love, and then people had to finish that. And then for a bonus prize, tell me who sang it, right? And again, you can Google it. So it's just, just something fun to keep people engaged. I should also mention these were the actual slides that I used. So, all right. So overall, how it went, it was really great. Everything went as planned. Technically speaking, the videos all played. The trivia was great. Everyone that attended was there from beginning to end. And it was because it was so engaging and there were things to look forward to and lots of prizes. We had about, I think, 30 prizes total. And so because we had smaller attendance than we anticipated, like 50% of the people won a prize. So, and you can win multiple prizes. But yeah, it was really great. And again, with the tech support being there, we just knew it was going to be really smooth and we had done all the preparation beforehand. So it was great. I think it was really successful. The team agreed that it was successful. The big thing, like I mentioned, was that organization did not show, that corporate employee did not show. And I don't know that they promoted it to their employees or that they asked them to come. And again, that was on our part. We should not have anticipated we should have anticipated that. Overall, though, it was recorded and it was available. So after the event, we sent out post surveys to the organization saying, you know, what could we do better? Was it worth your time? The recording of the event was posted on YouTube and then promoted on social media. And then we started thinking, okay, how can we do this in the spring and how can we make it better? I will say spring has come and almost gone in Tucson. We decided not to do that. We're going to do an in-person fair in the fall just to test it out. But we are still doing a lot of virtual events because we're not going to give that part up. So lessons learned, and I'll probably take one more minute. Media support is needed. So one thing that we learned was that not every organization that has a virtual opportunity has the media or tech needed to create good videos. So there were 12 groups that participated. About 3 of those, their video was a person talking to Zoom, right? Like a person just talking to the screen. And even though we gave ideas on like how to make your video engaging and exciting, it would be really great to offer coaching, you know, assign someone to coach that organization on building a really engaging video. Because you saw it at the event, there were some videos that were like really engaging and fun and just captivating. And then others that were slower and, you know, just a talking head on the screen. So really consider how to support organizations that want to participate, how to help them have really great videos, because they don't have, you know, they don't have a Gen Zer on staff to help them make this quick video on their phone, or some of them don't have the software to create videos. So just keep that in mind, that if you want your event to look really visually appealing, then you have to coach and support the organizations in creating videos. Having really clear timelines was important. That was also a lesson learned. Right at the beginning, one of our team members sent out a press release before the landing page was ready. So then we were scrambling to get the landing page ready because this link was going to go live, you know, in a couple of hours. So just making sure that your team has very clear timelines about what is going out, when things are going out. That way everything's ready and you want to look organized. So that's really important. Keeping a strict format was a big lesson learned. There was one organization that did not submit a video, but was really adamant about participating. They tried to make a PowerPoint and record it. And this was, you know, we went back and forth offering support, things like that. So I don't think there was anything we could have done except say, I'm sorry, you can't participate. But it became a little awkward for this group because this one group, their PowerPoint didn't work. So they submitted a PDF and they had to scroll through, but they put animations that didn't translate well. So just keeping a strict format. If you say this is what your video has to be and you can only participate if you have a video, then try to stick to that. Attendee recruitment, as I mentioned, just make sure that you know that the group that you're targeting is going to attend. If you talk to an employer, just really follow up with them and make sure that, you know, they have plans to promote your event as well. And the last one is turn off your camera, MC. So I learned as the MC that if I leave my camera on while someone is screen sharing, then my video is still on the corner. So if you see the recording, I'm still on the corner, like, you know, watching the videos and people can see me the whole time. But if you turn your camera off, then it goes away. So that's just a little thing. It's really not a big deal, but I was annoyed that like I could have just turned off my camera and I didn't think about that. So that's our lessons learned, and that was our event. I really want to thank you all for listening, and Jen, for all your nods. I really appreciate it. You're like, yes, yes, that's great. So feel free to contact me. That's my email. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I'd love to answer any questions that people have right now.
Yes, and we have a lot of questions, and I'm going to pass it over to Jerry. He's been fielding all the questions. I first want to apologize because Gretchen just gave us a time check, and I had on my calendar that this was going for an hour and a half. So I did not, I am so sorry that we are so short on time. I would have flagged you earlier than I did. But before we turn over to Jerry, I want to honor the incredible work that you did to educate us all on this program. I am genuinely blown away. I expected to get some information, and what you did is say, here, I did all the work and it's on a platter for you, and you can now go run an event. And I am so grateful for the effort that you put into this. This is an amazing resource, so thank you. And with that, I'll pass over.
Can everybody hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
So, whoops, I've got them here. Thanks for Mary Lynn's suggestion. How many people attended?
Right. So about 30 people, including us, our team, including the tech support, including the organizations that had to have a representative. We had about 10 people or so from the public. So like I said, not the greatest attendance, but we also accounted for that we could reach people afterwards with the recording and promote that.
Can you share your interest survey?
I don't actually have it because that was on United Way's on their platform. But really it was probably 5 questions. We wanted to know people's zip code. We gave them details of this is what we would do. Will you be interested in participating? Do you have these items ready to go, or will you need to create your own video? So it's really just trying to understand, is this something organizations want, and would they be able to participate?
I think you sort of answered this one, but you might want to expand on it. Please tell us which incentives, gifts you chose for the fair.
Right. So like I said, Starbucks, because you can email a gift certificate to people. So once people won, we just got their email. So the tech support person chatted with them individually to get their email address, so they didn't have to make it public. And then Gina had those beautiful pumpkins, and she individually mailed them. So again, she put on the chat, what can I have your address? And then again, the one grand prize at the end was $50 to a restaurant that the region had access to.
Cool. I'm wondering if anyone pitched for a video editing volunteer for the organization, and then it says goldenvolunteers.com. That came from Gretchen. I don't know if she wants to expand on that question.
Yeah, we didn't have anyone that volunteered to, that specifically volunteered to help with video editing. We also didn't look for that person, but the team, the 5 women that were involved, we all, if Diane knew that one organization, so she met with them and tried to help them out. So yeah, we did support. There was not one designated video editing volunteer.
And then there were some comments about how the organization or something messed up, but did organizations have to sign a memorandum of understanding?
That's a great question. I don't believe so. But when they registered, it was clear on this is what we expect from you, and this is what you can expect from us. So it wasn't like a legal, not a legal document necessarily, but it was very clear on what they should get. What we weren't clear about was, and we were right not to promise the number of attendees, and we were right to say we cannot guarantee that you'll get volunteers out of this, because it really depends on who attends. So
really comes down to the honor system on a certain
Yeah.
level. Yeah, they can sign something and still not show up, but it is, you know, it's a way of getting a commitment.
Right.
Were there registration fees for organizations to participate?
No, it was completely free to them. And especially, you know, with only 12 to 15 organizations saying they would participate, we didn't want to add another barrier. Video making is a barrier in itself. And so we just, you know, we did not need to charge a fee. We also didn't need to make money off of this event.
And I think you kind of answered this, but might want to expand on it. Would you do anything differently? What was the most important aspect from your point of view?
Right. There's a lot of important apps. Picking one is going to be hard. But so one thing I would definitely do differently, like I said, because I emphasize it, was make sure that you can have a guaranteed audience. And so in our case, we thought we had one, but we didn't, I don't think we followed up. I think we just took for granted that they wanted this. And so we'll plan this around that group. And they didn't show, and it was just like, okay, yeah, we didn't make sure of that. That's definitely something I would do differently. And the second thing is more support for organizations for their videos. So really just giving them more time to make videos, because we had 6 weeks to plan the event. They had about 3 weeks to make videos, which is not a lot of time. For me, that would be, you know, I could do that. But for some organizations, they don't have the person on staff, or some are all volunteer led. And so how do you get people to, how do you assign a video to all volunteers?
Yeah,
So,
it's a great example of how diverse nonprofits are, how much money they have, how much technology, and kind of where in the organizational chart is the volunteer department. Do
right,
they have access to resources to do that? Do they have to do it all themselves?
right.
Okay. Was the need to produce a video barrier for organizations to participate? Did it scare people away because it sounds intimidating?
It did, yeah. And again, that's something we did take into account, but we didn't fully anticipate how intimidating that might be. Although all the organizations that said they would participate did. The 3 that backed out were because they didn't have time, or this became not a priority for them. So yeah, it can be a big barrier. And so it is something to think about if you're going to have a virtual fair. You know, now with Zoom, people can choose their individual breakout rooms. So if we had to do this again, we'd utilize that feature and do things a little differently.
So that's the last of the questions I saw. And once again, thank you, Mary Lynn, for telling me to just copy and paste the questions so I have them all on one page here on my laptop. So I guess if there's any other questions from people, then I turn it back over to Jen.
And actually, I'm going to hand off to Mary Lynn.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you. I guess before we go, we want to mention that the hybrid conference registration is now open. And so you can sign up for that. And the hybrid conference will be in October. It's going to be the 19th and 20th. And the topic's going to be diversity, equity, and inclusion, real impact for the real world. Also, the Impact Awards will be opening later this summer, so look for those. And in terms of the newsletter, be sure to share the Alive newsletter with your members. And in terms of membership, if your leadership team or members have changed, be sure to update that with Alive. And the next local associations webinar for the 3rd quarter, we don't have the topic or date scheduled yet, but that will be coming up soon. And then update your local association listing for us as well. Email us your logo and additional information to manager@volunteeralive.org. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And thank you again, Jessica. I cannot thank you enough for the effort you put into this. This is a huge, huge asset to local associations trying to put this kind of event together. You kind of thought of all the things that I didn't even know to question. This is amazing as a resource. So thank you. And thank you all for attending. It was so nice to have you here. I know there were a lot of people who wanted to be here who couldn't, so they'll be watching the recording. So you'll have even a wider audience than the folks who were even in this room. But thank you for making time to join us today if you did. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jessica.
Ooh, Mary, I want to hear more. Would be great for schools.
Oh, it would be great for schools. So now we're just down to the committee and Jessica. So I can apologize. I'm so sorry I messed up the time. This whole time I was